Good Thursday afternoon to you. It's 4 o'clock and time for Sports4CLE. Thanks for joining us. Browns back on the practice field out in Berea, getting ready for Sunday's 1 o'clock matchup against the Tennessee Titans. Both teams 1-1 on the year. Some news from out in Berea. Greg Newsome with that elbow, not practicing. David Njoku likely resting, working out on the side. Amari Cooper and Zadarius Smith both back at practice. Also today, Minkah Fitzpatrick in Pittsburgh was asked about that hit on Nick Chubb and the thought that it was a dirty hit.
It was very unfortunate. You know what I'm saying? It's a tough injury. Fortunately, it's a part of the game that we play. I know people think I had ill will behind the tackle. It's not the case whatsoever. I'm a guy that's a competitor that's going to go out there and play the game. I'm chippy, I'm edgy, of course, but I'm not a dirty player. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to sit here and defend my character. You know, people could sit behind a screen and tell me how I should have done it or what they would have done, and they never play the game. You know what I'm saying? It's a fast game, and things happen, and like I said, it's an unfortunate event. I'm praying for Chubb. You know what I'm saying? I talked to him briefly as he was on the ground, and just let him know it wasn't intentional. And I was just trying to tackle him, make a football play. What I seen was it opened up. You know what I'm saying? His goal line, and I didn't see anybody on him. You know what I'm saying? And I made the decision as soon as I seen the hole open up and him in the hole to go low. You know what I'm saying? You can tell me how to tackle him low, but like I said, it's a fast game. It's a game that is, milliseconds. You make decisions within milliseconds.
And let's welcome in Quincy, Untitled, Unfiltered Browns coverage. Quincy, I've said since Monday, I didn't think it was a dirty hit. Maybe a little reckless, but you kind of hear Fitzpatrick going through it. And again, I believe him. I don't think there was any ill will there whatsoever.
I don't even think it was reckless. Like, he was trying to stop a touchdown, right? Like, if this were if Minkah Fitzpatrick played for the Browns and this were us in this situation, we would be defending it. Because that's a football play. He's trying to stop a touchdown. You're trying to stop somebody who's bigger than you. You don't want to go straight up one-on-one with them, and you got to go low. If this were Grant Delpit and Derrick Henry next week, like, you would want Grant to go low, get the tackle, and do what he has to do. It's a football play. It's a common football play. The unfortunate thing, and I think the thing we tend to forget, we act like we play football without injuries every year. It's a game that's just dangerous, and these kind of things are the unfortunate byproduct of playing a game that's dangerous. You have a safety who's trying to be aggressive and stop a touchdown. You have a running back who doesn't want to get to the ground. They meet at the exact wrong fraction of a second, and you get a terrible injury, and that's just the unfortunate way that it landed out. But I'm not going to sit here and act like Minkah did something on purpose because he plays for the Steelers. Like, it was a football play. I think we've seen that play. We've seen Browns players make that play. We've seen everybody in the league try to stop that situation by making that kind of a tackle. It's happened with Nick Chubb before. I have a hard time, talking about it like it was dirty.
All right, so Kareem Hunt back out on the practice field for the Browns today. He was re-signed and admitted 10 pounds lighter. Feels like he's more explosive than he was last year as well.
Most definitely. I came ready to play and win, man. I'm just ready to go out there and showcase my talent. I know what I bring to the table when I play the game of football, so I'm excited.
Did you think it was possible that you could come back given that, you were a free agent in March?
Man, I never fully, closed the door or whatnot, but I didn't think it was a big possibility. So, things work out in situations for a reason. So, I guess it was just meant for me to come play for the hometown again.
Did any fences have to be mended? Last year, obviously you asked for the trade at one point and then they let you go. Did you have to smooth anything over?
Like I said, we get along. I have mad respect for everybody in this building, and it was never to that point. So, it was good to see everybody, talk over, expectations and, things that I can help and just help this team win. I'm willing to come in and do whatever it takes just to, help win. My biggest thing is help win the Super Bowl.
So, Quincy, what did you think of the Hunt signing? Now, the Vikings did trade for Cam Akers from the Rams. It was a pick swap, basically. They gave up their 6th to get Cam Akers and the Vikings 7th. But what did you think of the Hunt signing with the Browns?
Yeah, Cam Akers is somebody you want to go after if you feel like you need to replace your starter. They feel like Jerome Ford's going to come in and replace the starter, and they're going to put Kareem Hunt in a very familiar role where he's splitting carries with that guy. I think Kareem Hunt, look, there's familiarity within the building. There's familiarity with everybody on that offense. There's familiarity with everybody, from top to bottom with Kareem Hunt. So it's a natural move, right? We see franchises do stuff like this all the time. Pittsburgh seems to always have their short list of former Steelers that they go back to whenever there's an injury. Same thing with Baltimore, and Kareem Hunt's one of those guys for us. So, yeah, I think this makes 100% a ton of sense.
All right, let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason for the first time today. We have quite a few of them.
Hi, Dave. This is Ernie again, calling from Virginia. I was hoping to see some better angles of the game the other day, but from what they did show, all of his throws were down the sideline, so that's a 50-50 ball. But not between the player and the defensive guy, between the player and the out of bounds. I would love to see where the people were that were in the middle of the field, because I can't imagine Stefanski did not scheme it so that there was someone open in the middle. I only recall 2 at the most passes in the middle of the field that went more than 4 yards. I think Watson's broken. I mean, his head just isn't in the game. It's got nothing to do with his physical abilities. He just isn't there. And I don't know how you fix that. But I'm afraid that we're really stuck with this guy, and I don't know how the Browns ever get out of it. I hope they all prove me wrong. Bye.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. Quincy, I don't remember a ton of throws, and when he was in Houston, he was really good deep middle.
Well, he targeted the middle of the field often. He didn't complete much in the middle of the field, right? And part of that is because the middle of the field stuff takes a little while to develop, especially when you're trying to do seam shots. You're trying to get 10, 20-plus yards downfield. Those take a while to develop. You have to see how the defense unfolds, what linebackers are going to be buzzing, which ones are going to be having good depth, where you can fit balls in. And the fact is that the offensive line was not blocking well enough to be able to attack that consistently. You look, whenever he tried to get through the middle or he had his eyes in the middle, he was getting hit consistently all game. The throws that you saw he made to the sideline, the reason he's able to make those throws because those are quick one-on-one reads. Okay, I got this guy. I just can get to my 3rd step, throw this real quick. The middle field read, sometimes it's a 5-step, 7-step drops, and he just wasn't able to get there sometimes.
All right, Deshaun Watson, on the biggest challenges that the offense is facing.
For myself, it's just being on the same page with everybody else, and that's just going with the protection-wise to the coverage-wise to what we're thinking about with Kevin. If it's going to be a 4-down situation, if it's a 3rd-down situation, if I need to take the shots, if I don't need to take the shots, and things like that. So just being able to just continue to grow and learn, and that's the biggest thing for me. And that's the part of this game. It's the NFL. Every week is different. Every week is a new challenge, and you have to continue to grow and continue to get better. Well, you got to think we had some injuries, so we had a rookie tackle that came in, so we got to change up a little bit of the protection-wise. Nick went out early on, so some young running backs that got to come in protection-wise, and then some of the receivers, Coop. He was a guy that came along during camp. He didn't get too many reps. Elijah is new to the system with live bullets, so we didn't get too many live bullets in real games. You can't sit here and say, practice is going to be exactly the games. It's 2 different speeds and 2 different things that's, adjustable. Practice is usually, this is what we're working on, this is what we're trying to get better. But in the game, you got to be able to adjust on the fly. So, all those things match up together. But, we're coming along, and, sooner or later it's going to click.
So, Quincy, how concerned are you about Deshaun? I'm not overboard like some people, but I am starting to get a little concerned.
I think what happened for a lot of people was we knew that option one was on the table, right? That Deshaun Watson comes back and he's back to being 2020 Deshaun Watson. What we realized was also real on that table as well, that he horribly regresses and never gets back to anything close to resembling 2020 Deshaun Watson. And that realization, I think, is what people are reacting to. The truth is, we don't know which one of those two options on the table we're getting. We just know that they're both options on the table. And the latter option freaks us out a bit. So, yeah, I think when you look at Deshaun, when you look at all the issues, you can say that some of it's just, hey, he's been practicing a lot and not playing a ton. Maybe he just needs a couple games here to get it clicking and going. And that'll fix it, or maybe it doesn't. You know, we'll see. I think time's going to be the only thing that can tell us anything about what Deshaun's future is going to be. And we have to remember, Dave, like with this offense, the changes that they've made, we really only have one game of tape to look at because the first game was played in that monsoon. So, you know, we just got to take it week by week. We'll know later. And I know that doesn't make anybody feel better because it's uncertain, but it's a week by week league. And we just got to see way more information to be sure about this one way or the other, right? He could throw 300 yards this week. That's not really going to change anything, right? We'll just be like, okay, that's one good game. Well, we got to do the same for the opposite of that, right? Take it week by week.
Quincy, Carrier, and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. We'll head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. Sports for CLE will be right back. Stay with us. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. We continue talking Browns with Quincy Carrier from Untitled Unfiltered Browns coverage. Let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hey, Dave, Frank from Cleveland. Just one thing. I was watching Joe Burrow's interview, and he stated that he had no preseason games, and it's hard to get out the gate starting fast. And I believe that applies to Deshaun Watson. He didn't see no live game action since last year, and that was baloney time. Now, the off-season training camp, yeah. It ain't like live action to me. I'm going to give him to the 8th game, and you'll see a total difference from that man. Love you, Dave. Be careful. It's a jungle out there. As always, brother, it's a great show. Thank you, Dave.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. Quincy, I am hopeful that Frank is right there, that by the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th game, we get to see some of that. And it might be. I mean, Watson himself said he wasn't going to know if the rust was off until regular season. It is a different speed of game.
Yeah, and you could tell he's clearly like getting used to that, right? Like the speed of practice isn't the same as the speed of a live game. The anxiety, the energy, the angstiness that you feel in a practice isn't the same that you're gonna feel in a regular season game on Monday Night Football when the stadium's going crazy. Also, like this dude hasn't played in that many rivalry games. Like this is just a lot is new. Like I think we underestimated with this whole Deshaun Watson process how much new was in this for him. And this is all new. This is a new type of offense that he's been in, even though there's a lot of familiarity with what he's done in the past. All his teammates are new. The AFC North having all these rivalries, that's new for him, right? Like he didn't have any rivalries at Clemson or with the Houston Texans. So it's just a lot new here. That's not an excuse for the play on Monday night. Like that doesn't excuse what he did or did not do on Monday night. But, you know, you can see room for improvement and for him to improve just because he has more time to adjust, get better.
All right. This is a little bit surprising. This is from U Stadium. The top 5 pass block win rates. The Chiefs are 1. Raiders 2 is kind of surprising too. Browns are number 3, ahead of the Broncos and Vikings. Again, I'm not sure how they're grading that, but it sure didn't look like the pass block win rate was that high against the Steelers.
Well, what that highlights is that offensive line play just isn't great right now, right? Because none of those are great pass block run rate numbers. Like, you don't, when number 5 is 69, think about that. Like, so yeah, the Browns are playing at a higher level than most, but everybody's pass blocking is just not what you want it to be. And that makes sense. What do we say every time we start camp? The defense is in front of the offense, right? It's probably going to be true at the beginning, like the first couple of weeks of the year. Defensive lines are going to dominate a little bit more than they should because they're just going up against new stuff. They're going up against different packages and things like that they haven't seen. So, yeah, I think that number is something to watch. It's good that they're not at the bottom of the league yet, but we'll see where we're at in 5 weeks because I'm not 100% confident that they're going to remain in the top 5.
All right, so let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hey, Dave, Frank from Cleveland. Jedrick Wills has to go. Bench him. Maybe that'll teach him a lesson or something. If we got Leatherwood or someone we can fill in. This guy has no hustle. It's like, I earned my money. I'm done. That guy's killing us. All right, Dave, be good. Love you, brother. It's a jungle out there, and you know, and so do I.
All right, Quincy, we were talking about the only thing I'll say is the guy that was lining up on his side was Alex Highsmith, and he was AFC Defensive Player of the Week. Now, I've said that and gotten that out of the way.
Yeah, look, Alex Highsmith is a good football player, and that was a bad matchup. I told y'all. This was a bad matchup for Jet Wills. Alex Highsmith does everything that Jet Wills does not do well. And I think we all knew it was going to be a bad matchup. And that doesn't excuse Jed. Jed's got to be better. We know Jed's got to be better. We know that a lot of people focus on Jed, but Jed ain't the only offensive lineman messing up right now, man. Larry Ogunjobi looked like Cam Hayward out there. And that should never happen. That should never happen, right? Like, guess what? Jed wasn't blocking Larry Ogunjobi, right? Those were other people responsible for that. So, Jed's not doing themselves any favors. I don't think Deshaun's doing him that many favors in the pocket. And they just got to figure out a way to get better than what they've been the last 2 weeks.
All right, so another challenge faces the Browns Sunday. That would be Derrick Henry. Jim Schwartz, who was a defensive assistant for the Titans when Henry was there, talked about the challenges of facing Derrick Henry.
They're going to have, not just rushing the passer this week. Number 22 is coming to town, and, we need him on Highway 90. We don't need him on Highway 71, if you know what I mean, right? No north-south. We need him east-west. We need him. We need him. We need him going sideways, and the D-line's going to have a lot to do with that, and getting penetration and keeping him from coming downhill on us. Because, Jeff, you talk about having firsthand knowledge. I've seen that firsthand. I've played against Derek before, but then also seen how people try to take him out of game plan. And definition of a great player is, even when teams start their game plan with you, you still have a way to be effective. And I think Derek falls into that category. He's a guy that, you can stop 9 times in a row, and the 10th time he can go 90 yards for a touchdown. So we're going to have to play excellent team defense. We're going to have to tackle well. We're going to have to be physical, and we're going to have to get hats to the ball. Tackling Derrick Henry isn't a one-on-one thing. It's an 11-on-1 thing, and, we have to have that mentality going in.
And again, that's going to be one of the things that determines, the outcome of this. If you can hold Derrick Henry in check, your chances of beating the Titans go up dramatically.
Yeah, what their plan's going to be against Derrick Henry is going to be get east-west, get him before he gets downhill. And I think that's going to be successful, like Jim Schwartz said, 9 times out of 10. The problem is there's going to be 1 or 2 times he's going to break a tackle. And we saw this last week with Najee Harris, right, where the Browns were pretty good at stopping him most of the time. But there were like a couple runs where Najee was able to break because what the Browns like to do is stay in their small personnels. And even when they're in base, it's not like their linebackers are that much bigger that it makes any more of a difference. So they play small. They play fast. They can beat them to the downhill angle and stop them most of the time. But there's going to be 1 or 2 times where he breaks a tackle. Everybody's going to be on the other side. And because he's not Najee and he runs faster than a 5 flat out there, he's going to get significant yardage. So they have to make sure if they get hands on Derek more than last week, wrap up, slow him down significantly, because that's the kind of guy that can burn you if he gets loose after you wrap him up or bottle him up.
So this is interesting as well. These are teams that have allowed only one touchdown through 2 weeks. Cowboys, Saints, and the Browns. And even more impressive, the Browns is basically a busted coverage because it was the 71-yard touchdown by Pickens.
Yeah, it's been an impressive defense. I mean, to be fair, they played against a Bengals team that had been struggling, plus it was raining a lot. Then they come and play Kenny Pickett, who's legitimately bad, in a Pittsburgh Steelers offense, who legitimately might be one of the worst offenses in modern history. Have you seen that chart, Dave, where they have the EPA for run and pass offense, and the Steelers are at the bottom right quadrant in both? Like, they're just bad. So it's hard to know how dominant this Browns defense is because they've been dealt a pretty favorable hand. And the fortunate thing for them this week is that the Titans, they're not that much different than the Steelers offensively.
All right. So quarterback Ryan Tannehill of the Titans talked about what he's seen from the Browns defense.
They're a fast, physical defense. You know, you see them flying around, aggressive, penetrating front. Their D-line is strong. Obviously, we know their edge players and the talent that they have out there. Their inside guys are penetrating as well, just being disruptive. Their backers are flying around. They're playing extremely fast, seeing what's going on quickly, diagnosing it, and playing physical and fast. Secondary, they're doing a good job of getting their hands on footballs and being in good spots. They have talent out there. So you look across the board, I have a ton of respect for this defense and what they can do. Obviously, Coach Schwartz was here and just a great coach and been around a long time, done a lot of good things over the course of his career. So a ton of respect for what they're doing right now, and we're going to have to play well.
And Tannehill's a guy you can get him to turn the ball over. That's one thing the Browns defense has not been able to do yet.
Yeah. Well, they've been able to turn the ball. They get turnovers. The Browns defense has been able to get turnovers. The problem is that the offense has been able to create more. Right? We're +4 in turnovers. It's not because we don't get them. It's because they had 2 last night. Right?
We're -4 in turnovers.
Yeah. -4. Yeah, we're -4 in turnovers for the whole year. -2 in a game where we had 2 turnovers, right? So I don't think it's been a, hey, we haven't been able to create turnovers thing. I think it's a, hey, offense got to hold on to the ball, right? 6 turnovers in 2 weeks. That's unacceptable. They got to figure out a way to lower that. As far as the Titans go, I would expect them to try to take advantage of the aggressiveness. They're going to try to screen us to death. They're going to try to play action, boot us to death. And if that doesn't work, you shut that down early, then you're going to have a good day against the Titans defensively.
Quincy Carrier from Untitled Unfiltered Browns coverage. Now I'm going to step aside, take another timeout. We'll head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. Sports4CLE, be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
We continue talking Browns with Quincy Carrier, Untitled Unfiltered Browns coverage. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hey, Dave Craig from Cleveland. I just seen the Browns sign Kareem Hunt. They said that he knows the whole system. I thought we tailored the whole system this year new to Deshaun Watson's dream. So how does he know the system? I don't understand it. I love you, brother. Great show. Be safe. You know it's a jungle out there, brother. So do I. All right. Be good, Dave. Love you, man.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. Quincy, your thoughts on that? The run game's probably very similar still. Have you seen much difference in this offense through 2 weeks?
I have, but hey, Dave, let me ask you a question. If you get your pants tailored, does that mean you got new pants, or did you just get your pants tailored? I mean, the answer to your question, caller, is in your question, right? The Browns tailored the offense to Deshaun Watson, which means they made things and put things in there that are special for Deshaun and more for Deshaun. They changed some of the progression rules, some of the check down rules in the passing game for Deshaun, but the philosophy of the offense is still the same. It's still the same pair of pants. They just tailored it to somebody. So yes, Kareem Hunt can come in and know what is probably 85% of that offense. He probably has to learn like a couple different new rules, new checks. Okay, if this, then that, cool. Instead of this, then that, that's fine. But you know, it's pretty clear to know why they think Kareem wouldn't know most of the offense, because again, the offense did not change. We did not fire Kevin Stefanski this offseason. So it's the same offense. It's just, like you said, tailored towards Deshaun Watson.
So do you think it changes even a little bit more without Nick Chubb, or is it still, it is what it is at this point?
Hey, they gotta see if they can still run the ball. Like, I think they got to figure that out. They ran for 100 yards in 3 quarters with Jerome Ford. So I think they can still run it. If they can still run the ball, look, even if it's not at Nick Chubb levels, that doesn't mean you just completely abandon everything about your run game. You still have really good run blocking offensive linemen. You still have really tight run blocking schemes. And Kareem Hunt and Jerome Ford should be good enough to take advantage of that. So I see no reason to change it. Like, yeah, just because you can't get the best possible version of running back out there doesn't mean that you just abandon running the ball completely. I don't think that makes much sense at all.
Do you think they should go to like quicker passes? Just and again, does that help get Deshaun Watson in rhythm?
They got to get some hots out there.
Yeah.
They got to get some hots, right? Because the pressure is not holding, the line is not holding up like they want it to, right? So they got to figure out more options for Deshaun to go to when there is pressure. Because what I am seeing is that the pressure plan is not a great plan, right? Like if there's no pressure plan is great right now because everybody's open when they're supposed to. You're hitting this window, but when something breaks down, when there's pressure, there's not a whole lot of room for creativity. Guys aren't in spots where Deshaun can easily get the ball out. And right now, one of the issues I would say with how they're running things is it feels like Deshaun Watson is his own hot. So if it's not there, if he doesn't have time to hit the deep routes, he's got to run and be his own check down. That cannot continue to happen. They got to get him some hots, get him some guys to get the ball to quick, because we know this offensive line through 2 weeks has been an issue. It's not going anywhere. We have to just assume we have problems.
All right. This is kind of out there from ESPN.com today. So this is from today. Jonathan Taylor trade proposal. The Colts get 2024 second-round pick, and the Browns get Jonathan Taylor. They even say they signed Kareem Hunt on Wednesday, but there's a reason he was still a free agent into the season. Trading Taylor would likely mean Hunt would go back on the trade market. I don't see any way. If they were going to trade for Jonathan Taylor, they'd have done it. And I'm guessing the Colts might not even take a second-round pick because the owner has kind of dug in and just isn't interested in trading them.
What was that trade proposal? So they want that second-round pick for Jonathan Taylor. Plus, by the way, you have to give him a new contract.
Right.
So you did not a second-round pick. If a player needs a new contract, or you're trying to dump their contract, or it's a contract you don't want to pay for, it's usually like 4th, 5th-round pick territory to get rid of a player like that. So the compensations is all wrong there for Jonathan Taylor. Nobody's giving up a second-round pick for him. And then like how you acknowledge they got Kareem Hunt. They felt good about Jerome Ford. Like, Jerome Ford disrespected in this whole not even mentioned, Dave. Like, not even a footnote. He had 100 yards on 6.6 yards per carry, and those runs were impressive. Like, yeah. Can we let for the love of everything, I don't know what Jerome Ford has done to everybody who, like, talks about the Browns running back position, but, like, let the man get a chance to play the position because he looks like he might be good.
All right, before we go to break, let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
This is Keith calling once again from Columbus. This is in regards to Deshaun. I think that he's pressing too much and going for too many deep balls, or they're calling too many deep ball plays. Why not getting some short, quick passes, get him in a rhythm, get his confidence going? As a quarterback, you just need to see your receiver catch the ball. It might look boring to the observer, but I think it will just help with his confidence seeing him complete passes. I think if we go that route, he'll be fine. Let me know what you guys think. Go Browns. Move.
Yeah, Quincy, we talked about that a little bit ago. I can't argue with that. Again, something to get him feeling good and feeling, not thinking. It almost looks like he's thinking too much, too. Just go out and play.
Yeah, he needs to just, like, I don't think the short passes are going to be the solution. Like, he needs to just have a game where he feels comfortable. He just doesn't look comfortable, whether it's short stuff, whether it's long stuff. Like, the only stuff he looks comfortable doing is the easy, quick stuff where he's throwing to, like, a back shoulder. And that's not easy. Those are tough throws to make. But that's easy from, like, a mental perspective. So it's just, you know, I just need him to have a good game. He needs to be able to find levels of success on all three levels of the defense. And just feel confident in his ability to throw the football, because what I'm concerned about and what I've seen hints of in that Pittsburgh game was that he's been hesitant to throw the football. He's been hesitant to use his arm, right? There's the one play where he throws a touchdown to Jerome Ford. Well, Amari Cooper was wide open on that first read, you know, to throw the little dump off to score the touchdown real quick. Why didn't he just throw that? Why did he feel the need to have to run, create something, and make it even easier throw? Like, where's his confidence level with his arm? Does he trust it? He needs to trust it. And in order to trust it, the short throws aren't going to make him trust his arm. He's got to make some of them long throws. He's got to make some of those deep throws. He's got to start feeling like himself so he can start trusting himself to make these plays, because I see a player right now who does not trust himself to throw the ball unless he has everything perfect. And that's more the issue. He needs to trust himself. And in order to get that trust, he just needs to be able to execute. And how do you make that happen? Well, if I had to answer to that, I would be a highly paid quarterback coach.
Quincy Carrier and I are going to step aside, take one more time out. Other side of the break, back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. We'll also look a little bit more in detail at the Titans. Sports for CLE. Be right back. Stay with us. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. We continue talking Browns with Quincy Carrier from Untitled Unfiltered Browns coverage. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
People can quibble all they want about Deshaun Watson's play. Is he making the right reads? Is he coming back? Whatever. I would want to suggest that a quarterback, particularly a franchise quarterback, that's a position of leadership. Leadership is being about more than yourself, more than about, impulse control issues. 2 face mask penalties, bumping a referee. This is an individual who does not conduct himself. Do you see this sort of behavior out of Patrick Mahomes? Any of the fine quarterbacks in the NFL right now? Do any of them behave in this way? He will never be the quarterback that the Browns are hoping. And I would urge the anger and the outrage, the frustration that will build this season surely should not be directed at any player, at any coach. It has to be directed at the ownership, who have made the stupidest decision in the history of professional sport. And Cleveland fans will be paying for this decision in their emotional investment, being disappointed over and over for a generation. And we all know it, and anyone who imagines otherwise it's just wishful thinking. Your thoughts? Thanks.
As always, appreciate all the voicemails. Quincy, the face masks, He's running for his life. He's competing. He's taller. He's taller and bigger than Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes would have to reach up to face mask those guys. So again, as far as not being,
we've seen Patrick Mahomes get into verbal altercations with people before. We saw this last year. We saw this on the QB1 documentary. Like, this is football, man. Like, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
People's emotions get high. Deshaun Watson in his 5-year career has had one moment where I've seen him look like he is maybe about to get into an altercation with somebody on the football field, at least. We can't just see that one time in his whole career, be like, oh, this is who he is. He's not even a leader. This and that. Like, this is ridiculous. This is people who just wanted a reason to say these things, finding any reason to go all the way in that direction. Was he frustrated? Obviously. Of course he's frustrated. He has had 8 games under his standard since he's came back. He hasn't had one single game where he's felt like him. And he hasn't had a great game where everybody's been watching since 2019. He's incredibly frustrated. I understand the frustration there. And he did let it bubble to the surface, and it did hurt the team, right? Like, that is true. But it's one time. You know what I mean? Like, we got to wait for these trends to happen before we start saying something is a trend. We've seen this one time in his entire career where he's let the frustration boil over to this. Not saying it's not going to be a thing. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's not, though, because, again, it's been one time we've seen this happen with him. And I hope that dude was not encouraging Baker Mayfield, right? Out here talking like this, right? Because you talk about somebody who used to do this every week.
Do not say Baker Mayfield. I don't want to talk about Baker Mayfield. And the other thing about being a leader, remember, nobody forced his teammates to vote him as a team captain. So, again, let's just wait and see. Let's wait and see.
Can we get to the bye week? It's an early one this year, Dave. Like, we only got 4 weeks to the bye week. Are we going to get there? I have no clue.
All right.
I have no clue.
Mike Vrabel, who actually went to high school at Walsh Jesuit, head coach of the Tennessee Titans, talking about what he has seen from the Browns' run defense.
They gap up. I mean, they gap you up, and they attack, they penetrate, they run, they fast, they tackle. Safeties are, good players. They dealt it. Made a lot of tackles in and around the line of scrimmage. But they force you to get into the line of scrimmage and to block them.
When you're going against a run defense like that that's so good, like, how much do you factor in, okay, I want to dictate what I want to do against them regardless of the outcome, or do you just look at it where you just kind of...
I don't want to throw the ball 50 times and think that we can beat the Browns by throwing it 50 times because they've got a good run defense. I mean, that wouldn't... I don't think that's the answer, but... we'll have to stay balanced and have to set up plays and hope that they complement each other. But, just because they're good against the run, I don't think we should pass it 50 times.
So, Quincy, when you look at this, what are some of the matchups that are going to determine this game Sunday?
Mike Vrabel sounds like a man who is worried about his offense more than he worried about anybody else's defense. Like, he's like, yeah, they're good. Look, we suck. Like, that's basically what he was saying. Anybody might be good against us, man. We're not that good on offense right now. But yeah, the matchups again. We run smaller personnel at Derrick Henry. D-Hop, who's going to be covering him? Is it going to be Denzel Ward? Are we going to put Martin Emerson on him? Right? What's the plan with D-Hop? Is he still going to be like this D-Hop guy, or is it going to be a little bit different for him? But other than that, it's pretty much the same game plan as Pittsburgh, right? You want to make sure that you force Ryan Tannehill to try to make some of these throws he struggled to make in the past. Make sure he doesn't have a lot of open windows to throw to, and pressure him plentifully. And I think they feel like this is a week where they can get a lot of sacks.
Yeah, you got another big wide receiver in Burks, and they've been using Tajay Spears. The rookie has gotten more playing time because it seems like they're not running Derrick Henry as much into the ground as they have in the past.
Yeah, they're going to run Derrick Henry a lot, though, this week. Like, I know he said we're not going to throw the ball 50 times because they have a good run defense, and that's code for, hey, I'm giving this ball to Derrick, right? And I think he's playing the same percentage game that I'm playing, right, where He knows that the Browns are going to stop the run probably 9 times out of 10. But you're going to get 3 runs where you might get a big chunk, and that's more worth it than throwing the ball 40 times for him.
Quincy Carrier, Untitled, Unfiltered Browns coverage as always. Great stuff. Appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much, Quincy.
Always. Thank you for having me on.
Quincy Carrier, make sure you check him out. Really good stuff, Untitled, Unfiltered Browns coverage. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. Trevor Sikkema, Pro Football Focus, straight ahead. We continue talking Browns. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
I am powerful beyond my wildest imagination.
I will define my future.
I will keep challenging myself to improve.
Because I am a future leader of this great nation.
I will be responsible for raising a beautiful family.
And educating not only my generation, but many more to come.
I will make a difference in my community.
And I will stand up for what I believe in.
I will not settle for simply chasing my dreams. I will achieve them.
Because I was given a chance.
An opportunity.
A home.
At Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America.
The ultimate leadership experience.
FCCLA has been one of the greatest experiences of my life.
It's made me who I am today.
Join us. We'll build a new future together.
We continue talking Browns on Sports4CLE. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Deshaun Watson is what's wrong with Cleveland's offense. Everybody looks at all the stats in Houston. He was not good. He was always in the top 2 or 3 of getting sacked. He holds onto the ball way too long. Watson looks to make the big play every time. And that's not what the NFL is about. The NFL is about moving the chains. Okay, he's dropping back. He's making the offensive line look terrible when Jed Wills is not making the offensive line look terrible. But he's making the offensive line look terrible because he holds on to the ball. He's looking for something big, something big, something big. This is not a Kevin Stefanski problem. Deshaun Watson has always played backyard football. He's going to continue playing backyard football. See what DTR's got. I'm sorry. $230 million. Jimmy has them. You got it. You wasted it. They should have saw this. He is not the answer for us. Our defense is too good to waste this season on this quarterback and the route this offense is taking right now. Love the show, Dave. Take care. God bless.
As always, appreciate all the voicemails. Let's welcome in Trevor Sikkema, PFF, NFL, and draft analyst, also co-host of the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. Trevor, how different is the offense that they're trying to run with Deshaun Watson to what he was running in Houston?
Yeah, I mean, the caller talked about him not being able to hit on those deep shots and looking for those deep shots. There's no doubt about it that was part of the game plan with him in Houston, and that was something that a lot of people could point to because he was converting at a much higher clip when he was in Houston. Now, when you hit the deep ball, everything gets a little bit easier, right? I mean, those shorter completions between the line of scrimmage and the 10-yard line, whether they're out to the left or right, whether it's over the middle, whatever it is, those start to look like complementary completions instead of him just checking it down and not being able to push the ball down the field. So there's always kind of a story and an angle for when a quarterback isn't able to hit deep, but over the middle of the field as well. He's struggling in both of those areas, and I think those are two parts of the passing game that have to get better. I mean, you have to be able to keep defenses honest over the middle of the field, and then especially hitting those deep shots, which they have just not been able to do so far this year.
Do you think if they go to a shorter rhythm passing just to get him going?
Yeah, I don't know what exactly the answer is, because it just feels like it's mental with him, right? You could sit here and you can say, hey, maybe go to a more West Coast style where you're kind of just like dinking and dunking it up the field, but do they have the exact receivers that you would want to run something like that? I know Amari Cooper is a guy who's very versatile about that, but Donovan Peoples-Jones, he's a field stretcher. To get the most out of him, you've got to be able to let him go deep. Elijah Moore, like, he's a guy who's more of like a quick game player, but you look at it on paper and they should have a lot of those pieces that are very complementary. They have that wide receiver one. They have the vertical threat. They have the slot guy. They got David Njoku, who should be a 3-level threat at the tight end spot, even though it hasn't been as consistent as they have wanted. Everything's kind of there. And I'm not saying that they're like have the best wide receiver core in the NFL, but they've got a lot of the pieces. It's just a matter of getting the ball exactly where it needs to go. And sometimes that's a process, but unfortunately, Cleveland Brown fans are probably sick of hearing the word process, and they want results, especially for a guy that they're paying $230 million to. So I know it's tough, but also 2 games into the season doesn't necessarily mean it's the end of the world, especially because they got that win in week 1 over the Bengals.
All right, so this from Pro Football Focus, line rankings entering week 3, offensive line that is. Eagles 1, Cowboys 2, Packers 3, and Browns 4. Dwan Jones stood his ground his first game as a starter, 67.0 pass blocking grade, despite going up against T.J. Watt for most of the night. Offensive line allowed 17 pressures against Pittsburgh, 4th most in week 2. But again, that defensive line with Highsmith and T.J. and Highsmith was AFC defensive player of the week.
Right.
How did the line look?
I thought they were fine. Honestly, you got to understand the context of the situation. And TJ Watt, when he's healthy, is a defensive player of the year candidate every single year. So for a rookie making his second start in the regular season to really hold up as well as he did, I thought that was really good from Dwan Jones. Obviously, Jedrick Wills has to play better. I mean, there's kind of no doubt about it. But you look at the defensive lines that they've gone up against these first 2 games, and it's a really stout defensive line with certainly good edge presence in Cincinnati, and then you could say the exact same thing about Pittsburgh. So I know they're in a very tough division, and you kind of just, unfortunately for the Browns, have to be up for this more weeks than not because their schedule is very difficult coming from that division and being a part of the AFC. But I thought they were all right. Like, I thought that this is, especially with one of those guys being a rookie starter, fine. Moving forward, I wouldn't be worried too much about the Browns' offensive line. Wills has to play better. There's no doubt about it, but it's been some tough assignments for him early on. There's still reason to believe that he plays his best ball second half of the season when it really matters. But certainly with Nick Chubb now out, that offensive line has to play as well as it possibly can, because that's how you get Watson's confidence up. That's how you get him in rhythm. And that's, of course, how you get the running game going as well. So Cleveland's been able to lean on their offensive line over the last couple of years, and I think they just need to continue to do that. They've got the guys to do it. It's just a matter of all playing really well together.
Okay, this is impressive, and take a look. The defense, we're going to switch sides of the ball. Defense 3-and-out rate in 2023 in graph form, and way at the other, right side of the screen, that's the Browns, 62%. That's 10% better than the second place team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, at 52%. So that's 3-and-out rate, and that's ridiculous when you think about that. That's, better than 6 out of 10 times you're getting 3 downs and you're done.
Yeah, Jim Schwartz is having himself a hell of a start to this year for what that Cleveland Browns defense is doing. He's well on his way to being the top assistant coach that we have in this league if this keeps up. And the way that they are able to do it, honestly, is you win on the early downs. You put the offense in disadvantageous situations, and when you go back to not just the third down percentages, when you go to first down, they are forcing the second lowest EPA per play of any team in the NFL. The only team that is better than them so far has been the Dallas Cowboys, who have just been insane with what they've been able to put out there. But winning on first down, stopping offenses from moving the ball at all whatsoever, having that low of an EPA per play average, that's how you get in really advantageous third down situations where you as the defensive coordinator are actually the one going on the offensive. You are keeping the offensive coordinator guessing, okay, am I going to bring pressure here? Am I going to be more aggressive? Am I going to play softer in coverage? Am I going to have a simulated pressure look? All of those things can go in your favor if you win on the early downs, especially on first down. And so that third down percentage, that 3-and-out percentage, which is incredible by Cleveland, starts because they are a great defense on first down, and that sets the tone for the rest of the drive.
Yeah, and to go even a little bit further, so the Browns haven't allowed a team inside the red zone in the first 2 games. In fact, they haven't allowed an offense inside the 30-yard line. Jim Schwartz was asked about that earlier today.
Obviously, that's not going to continue, but I like where it is right now. Either 0% or 100%, I don't know the way you'd put it, but the less opportunities. Red zone's tough, and that's where scores happen. And we've given up a couple field goals, but they've generally been longer field goals, which we've seen guys miss, Cincinnati game and stuff like that. So we just go and play on the field position that we got and hope that we can stop drives. But I think, Tony, that probably plays a little bit into the third down. We've made it hard to sustain drives so far. So when it's hard to sustain drives and you don't give up a lot of big plays, albeit a 71-yarder, it makes it hard to get down into the red zone.
And Trevor, he's referring to the touchdown they've allowed was the 71-yard completion from Kenny Pickett to George Pickens, which was a blown coverage, basically.
Right. Yeah, that one's, you just got to chalk that up as, hey, they blew the coverage on that play. It is what it is. There's so many other plays that are evidence to how great this Cleveland Browns defense is. And to me, it all starts up front, as football often does. I talked about the flexibility of the aggressiveness that you can have on third downs when you win on first down. Well, you can also have a lot of flexibility when you are that good just with 4 pass rushers. Cleveland is tied for 4th in the NFL right now with the highest pass rush grade when only rushing 4 guys or less. So you're not having to allocate these other bodies to get to the offensive line in order to get pressure on the quarterback. You're instead, of course, guys like Myles Garrett. It's great to have him on the team. Zadarius Smith, those guys, they're able to produce in a way where you don't have those other guys can play coverage essentially. And the more guys that you have in coverage, well, then you can get more diverse. All right, are you playing quarters? Are you playing cover 6? Are you playing cover 2 man? You're playing cover 0, whatever it is. When you have more bodies to allocate in coverage, that gives you all the opportunity in the world to play whatever you want. That only happens when you are as good as the Browns have been with 4 down defensive linemen. And if that continues, then I know Schwartz said there the 0% or 100% red zone is not going to continue, but it'll be pretty damn low if you continue to keep that efficiency up with just 4 down linemen.
Trevor Sikkema from Pro Football Focus and I are going to step aside, take one more time out, other side of the break, back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. A little bit more about the matchups between the Browns and the Titans. Sports for CLE. I'll be right back. Stay with us. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. We continue talking Browns with Trevor Sikkema, Pro Football Focus NFL and draft analyst. He also co-hosts the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hey, love the show. Longtime viewer, call often. I just want to say everybody's bagging on Jed Wills. What about if the Browns moved Antonio to left tackle, bring in the guy that they just brought back, Michael Dunn, put him at right guard and keep DeJuan Jones at right tackle, or move him to left tackle and move Dunn the right tackle? All I know is that Jed Wills is lazy and he's not very good at what he does. He stood around and watched T.J. Watt just scoop and score. He didn't even make an effort. He's not really worth the money that they're paying him. And also, it sucks for Nick Chubb, man. That's horrible. Do you think that was a dirty hit? Because it sure looked like he went straight for the knee on that tackle. Go Browns.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. We've already, Trevor, we talked about it. We heard from Minkah Fitzpatrick. I do not think that was a dirty hit at all. It was one of those bang-bang plays. If he's a split second later, Chubb's leg isn't planted, and he probably, he gets banged up, and that's about it.
Yeah.
As far as moving, I don't think you move a guy that is probably one of, if not the best left guard to tackle, trying to fix. You've now lessened 2 or 3 spots along the offensive line instead of dealing with the problem that you have one spot on the offensive line.
Yeah, and this is what training camp and preseason are for. You're supposed to figure out who the best 5 offensive linemen are. And if they've determined that these are their best 5, they're better off just sticking with it and just saying to the guys, basically challenging the guys in the locker room and saying it's got to be better. Because you're right, sometimes you have offensive linemen that have really great flexibility. I think Joel Bitonio is one of the best offensive linemen in the NFL. Obviously, I think that he could survive out at left tackle if you wanted to move him over there. But then, you're juggling all sorts of stuff. You definitely don't want to do that to a rookie, right? You don't want to switch sides for DeJuan Jones because he played right tackle at Ohio State, so he's already trying to figure out his own game at right tackle at the NFL level. You don't want him to move over to left. I don't think that's something that they could do. And it's just really tough to play musical chairs along the offensive line once the regular season has started, especially for a team that has as tough of a schedule as the Cleveland Browns do, because you can't really afford to say, all right, we're going to make a change at offensive line, and then you have to give yourself time for the chemistry with these guys to get to where it is to where you're winning a football game. But how long is that going to take? 3-4 weeks? You can't just mail in 3 weeks and say, we didn't play well, but, we're shuffling the offensive line. We're going to be fine. That second half push of the season, even if you are maybe your best version, it might be too late. So unless it's a catastrophic failure on the offensive line, which I don't think we're there yet, I think they kind of went into the year thinking that these are their best 5, and you got to stick with it.
Yeah, and to the caller's point, Jed Wills, and we said it last segment, he has to play better. I mean, he's a first-round pick. He has to be better. When you look specifically at this Browns-Titans matchup, it's one of the more intriguing and close matchups of the weekend. What are some of the keys? What do the Browns need to do matchup-wise to get away with a win and get to 2-1?
I mean, this sounds silly and obvious, but pass the ball better. I mean, that's basically it. Whichever team passes the ball better is going to win this football game. Again, that's kind of a duh with where we are in the game of football right now, but both of these offenses are bottom 10 in the NFL when it comes to EPA per pass. So whichever team is honestly just not horrible, like even if it's like middle of the road for the NFL, they're probably going to win this game, because I think that both offensive lines are going to be stout enough to be able to run the football. We know that that's Tennessee's identity. We know that that's what Cleveland's going to want to do. They're going to want to establish that. And I think both teams have ferocious players on defense, but I'd give the defensive nod certainly to the way the Browns have been playing. So all you need is just a little bit more consistency and a little bit more production in the pass game, and I think that's going to be enough. I don't think the Titans are one of the most talented teams in the NFL, to just be frank with it, but I also think that they are no pushover. I said to somebody the other week, I don't care how many points the Titans are not favored by or an underdog by. I'm never going to bet against the Tennessee Titans, because that's who Mike Vrabel is as a head coach, and he's always going to have those guys playing tough. So to me, this is going to be a hard-fought, close game, and the team that passes the ball most efficiently is going to win. That's what it's going to come down to. They're very similar teams, and so that's the X factor they need to shoot for.
Is there something they can do to help Watson? Do you roll him out? Is there a way to make it easier for him to have success?
Yeah, I think that could be one of them, right? You're kind of moving the pocket a little bit. You're using play action more. You're certainly using motion, which a lot of teams in the NFL are doing to try to make it easier on the quarterback to say, hey, we're not only seeing what the defense might be in, because motion can give away man coverage versus zone coverage, but you're also forcing the defense to have a lot of communication before the snap, and if they're not on their P's and Q's, you can take advantage of that. So it really is just, again, they've got a lot of the players at receiver that I like. The ball's just not going where it needs to go consistently. So whether you want to say, hey, it's more of a rollout thing, it's almost the same conversation as the Jedrick Wills conversation. Watson's just got to play better. I mean, that's kind of all there is to it. And he knows that. The organization knows that. Everybody knows that. But all the pressure is on him, but it kind of needs to be at this point, especially for how good this defense is playing. Cleveland should beat Tennessee this upcoming weekend. They absolutely should. They are the better football team, and they have the recipes to bake the cake that is a win on Sunday. So that's what I think should happen.
Trevor Sikkema, Pro Football Focus. Appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much, Trevor.
Appreciate it, guys. Anytime. Trevor
Sikkema. Make sure you check him out, NFL draft analyst, as well as the co-host of the NFL Stock Exchange podcast, Pro Football Focus. As always, appreciate his insight and his time. It's going to do it for this edition of Sports for CLE. We will see you back here tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Have a great night, everybody. See you tomorrow at 4 on Sports for CLE.